circumstances, no reason to do this. You got one person telling you not to do it, this guy screaming in the other room, this other person telling you to do it, and you weirdly go ahead and do it at a very high rate, very disturbing. In another one, the experimenter never appears. It just gives instructions via a tape recording, and actually Milgram didn't record the rate of obedience in this, but it's less than when the experimenter is present. I'm sorry, that's all he said. One of the problems with identifying these conditions as cleanly as you'd like them to be, or as I would like them to be, is that Milgram was a very eccentric guy. He was a sort of mad genius, social psychologist, mad scientist type character, and he didn't even write up these studies for like a long time, like 10 years or something. And then there was, everybody knew about them, they'd seen them presented, he published this one very small piece on them, but then he had never like really presented the whole thing, or in a book or an article. Can someone make that woman up? Who's asleep behind you? Do you mind? Thank you. Okay, you're missing college. College is awesome. So, he had never published it, and people were like, you need to publish this, or else somebody's going to go run it themselves and get all the credit for this great idea you had. And so he's like, okay, now I'll write it. And so literally 14 years after he first started the experiments, he published a book documenting all these conditions. And even then, it was sort of like kind of loosey-goosey, his write-up. Okay, so some other conditions. Condition one was rerun with females, trying to see is there a gender difference? Is there some difference between men and women in their likelihood to obey? Some people thought, women, they wouldn't do this, women are good people, as opposed to men. Obviously, that's true, but nonetheless, women obeyed authority at the same rate as men did in the first study, almost exactly. Actually exactly. Also, the heart problem condition, this one is like the one I described, except the guy says he has a heart condition. This is the one in the film that you watched however many years ago, 50% rates of obedience to authority. Another one is the participant doesn't have to actually do the shocking, they just have to give orders to another shocker. So in this case, there's two actors, two confederates, as we call them, and one of them is the learner who's being taught with shocks. Another one is another shocker, and the subject's job is just to relay these orders to that shocker. And in that condition, participants were willing to give orders up to the 450 XXX level at a 93% rate. There's a very interesting condition I want to return to later in this lecture. And this is, what if you didn't have to do it yourself, you just had to tell somebody to do it? And we know when you tell somebody to do it, they're going to do it at a 65% rate or so. But what if all you had to do was just tell them? Would you do it? Would you follow orders? Would you pass orders on to kill somebody? And 93% of the time, the answer was yes. And another one, participants run with two disobedient confederates, and that's kind of amazing. It's sort of the Ash experiment versus the Milgram experiment, right? Like in the Ash experiment, 7 people or 8 people do something, and they try to see if you'll do it. In this one, they got the obedience authority, you got the experimenter telling you what to do, but then you also have two other participants who are like, I'm not going to do this. This is batshit crazy. And what did people do? Participants complied only 10% of the time. So there's an interesting insight. If you could somehow marshal conformity pressures against obedience pressures, maybe you could outbend them. And in a way, that's sort of like what happens in a revolution or in collective action, is people come together as a group against authority. Also, they were interested in, maybe this is all just like we're running this at Yale, at New Haven, and people are intimidated and freaked out by this fancy pants Ivy League institution. We wouldn't be because we know that, public schools are better. But, they're like, maybe some people, for some strange reason think Yale is really awesome. So we'll run it somewhere else. They ran it in downtown Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is just a normal industrial town in New England. It wasn't even New Haven. And they're like, okay, now we're not in New Haven. We're not identifying ourselves as Yale researchers. We're not on the campus. We take away all that authority. And what happens? Well, there's no difference. It's the same rate of obedience. Some more notes about the experiment. Milgram actually, in the first version of the experiment, had no feedback from the learner. All it was just participants could see the outline of the learner against like a door. So like it was like a door with like a window cut in it, and you could see just the shadow of the person that you're shocking to death. And what he found was there was too much obedience, too much for it to be a useful condition. Because he wanted to study what kind of conditions would increase obedience and decrease it. So in his first one, everyone went to the 450 XXX level. So he discontinued the study after like 15 subjects and ran a more challenging study that would be more impressive. Because the first condition he ran, everyone obeyed. Everybody was willing to kill the guy because he was just a shadow in a window. And one thing that was interesting in this condition, participants showed a reluctance to look at the learner. The teachers would try to avert their eyes and not even look at the shadow. And this idea being that people dehumanize their victims, but also that if you can dehumanize your victim, then you'll be more likely to be able to end their life. Also, this is a weird calculation Milgram did. I told you about these first 4 conditions, right? On condition 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 160 people total in those conditions. Of them, 71 of those participants showed nervous laughter or smiling during the study, which is something they talk about in the film, right? It's like this very alarming, weird thing that happens, that these people would laugh and titter and smile, and it makes them seem like total assholes, basically, right? You're like, oh my god, they're like mendacious, evil people. They're not just shocking these people to death for no good reason. They're doing it while they laugh and smile. And Milgram didn't interpret it that way, though. He didn't say, these are terrible people. He said, instead, it's nervous laughter, it's nervous smiling. And when they would interview people afterwards, they would often say, no, I was like absurdly nervous. Like, I'd never been as nervous as I was in that situation, because I felt like I had to follow the orders, and I didn't want to. So that nervousness, that anxiety leaked out in the form of laughter and smiling. Yes? No, I don't think that any of the learners were women. I think they always had a man, and I think they may have always had that one guy, too. I don't know, I've never heard anything about that. That's an interesting question. Yes? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, so the question is, in the experiment in the film, the heart condition one, which is very, very similar to the one that I described in detail, which is the guy complains and screams and howls, they give the subject in the study a quick shock. They say, okay, just so you know that these are real and what they feel like, here's one, and it's like, oh, that hurt. And it's like 15 volts. And so you're supposed to imagine, 30 times that. So yeah, in that condition, that might have helped people understand that their shocking could really hurt the person because they just experienced a shock themselves. And I don't know whether they did that in all the conditions. I'm guessing they did, but I don't know. There's a question over here. Actually, it's funny. There was an experiment that was done, talking about these minimal, tiny shocks. There was an experiment that was done at Cornell while I was there in the lab right next to mine. And I remember when I was a graduate student, I remember hearing all of a sudden this screaming next door. And in the experiment, they used these tiny, tiny shocks that were like not the kind of thing that hurt you at all. Human subjects was like, sure, fine, you use these tiny shocks, we don't care. And I don't know what they were studying, but anyway, these tiny shocks in this experiment. And what had happened was a machine malfunction. This never happened in the study that you'll participate in this class. Couldn't happen. The machine malfunctioned, and the subject of the study was repeatedly getting the little shock, and they freaked out. They were like, they started screaming, and then worse yet, the undergraduate research assistant who was running them came in and started screaming as well. And so they're both like screaming, panicking, and the research assistant starts tearing off all the notes and stuff from the person, screaming at the top of his or her lungs. And yeah, it was pretty funny. That woman that was in that study that got repeatedly very minor shocks, no damage at all, but very alarming when this machine malfunctions and is repeatedly minimally shocking you. She got many conciliatory letters from psychology professors over the next couple weeks. They were basically like, please God, don't sue us for this. Okay, all right, not funny, of course not. Okay, so as we think of the Milgram experiments, we interpret it. Remember the percentages only reflect those who went all the way. So So those are the percentages of people that go all the way. So those are people that go to 450 volts. This isn't even the rate of people that go to like 250 or 300 volts, right? Which is pretty damn high. That's pretty alarming. This is after the person's been screaming and complaining. People are still going. So the rates of that are actually much higher. When I tell you 65% of people, went all the way, I'm talking about they went all the way to the level where they really should know that they're killing the person. But at least in the heart condition version, the one that's in the film, even the 50% that don't go all the way, a good portion of them have good reason to think they might have induced a heart attack in this guy. So really, the rates of like people willing to go to a point where they should know that they may be killing the person or at least greatly harming them is way, way higher, like up around 80% across conditions. Thomas Ballas is a Milgram scholar, and he did a meta-analysis. Does anybody know what a meta-analysis is? It's where you take a bunch of data sets and put them together and then try to analyze trends or overall findings in them. Psychologists are fond of doing this because they run lots of little studies, but then 20 years will go by and they'll have like just tons of cognitive dissonance studies, and they'll say, haha, this is right for a meta-analysis. We'll put them all together and we'll see how strong the average effect is and get this insight. So Ballas was interested in a few questions. He was interested in men versus women, whether there's a gender difference in rates of obedience, and he was also interested in whether rates of obedience declined over time. So he's like, this is perfect for meta-analysis. I'll get all the data on studies that have been done in the Milgram setting, not just the ones that Milgram did in the early 60s, but all the replications people did after that. I'll put them all together into one big data set and analyze it. And this is what he found. He found that men and women overall were equally obedient. And he found actually the 65% number that people are always telling you, the 2/3, is about right. That overall obedience in Milgram type settings in experiments across like a 25-year period before human subject committees basically banned them from ever being run again, thankfully. Was about 65%. And then men and women are about equal. However, he did find in meta-analysis that women report more stress, which is interesting, I think. And that could be because men face greater social stigmas in this culture anyway for expressing anxiety and neuroticism, or that's what some research has showed. Or it could be that the women were actually more stressed out. It's hard to know how to interpret that, but it is interesting in a kind of grim sort of way. All of this is sort of morbid fascination type research. Okay, also reviewed Milgram-style obedience studies from 1961 to 1985 and try to see, is there a correlation between year and rates of obedience? And what would be your hunch on this, right? Mine would be that obedience has gone down in our culture over the last 50 years or so. And I think most people would say that. And I think actually there's good evidence for that, and I'll show you some of that evidence later. Certainly if we went back to 100 years ago, we'd find that people were definitely more obedient in day-to-day life, I think, than they are now. So he was interested in maybe there's a negative correlation between year and rates of obedience. As year goes up, the rate of obedience will go down. Okay? But he didn't find that. Instead, he found a zero correlation, no significant correlation between year and obedience rates. So for some reason, in the studies that were done in the Milgram experiment, people did not decrease in their rates of obedience across time. And so I think I told you, after the Ash conformity study, which is the other most famous social psychology study we've covered in this class, that people were always interested in, was this just a child of its time? Did people just conform a lot in the 50s or before the 50s, and now you wouldn't be able to replicate the Ash experiment? And we found kind of mixed evidence on that. Here, this is pretty strong evidence that the Milgram experiment is not a child of its time, and actually persisted into the mid-80s as a phenomenon that would happen. Some other stuff about the Milgram experiment. Milgram originally planned a comparative study of Germany, the United States, and Australia, and he was interested in national character, this thing that people used to study, cultural differences between nations and countries and whatever, or subcultural differences in countries. But in this case, he was interested in specifically why it was that Germany, why the Third Reich had risen in Germany, and was the case that there was something about German character, the culture in Germany, that made people uniquely obedient. And a lot of people say this all the time. They say, oh, the reason that the Nazis rose to power in Germany in the 30s was because Germans are so obedient. And he was interested in using the United States as a comparison case, but he felt like he needed another comparison case too, because maybe the US is weird, so he used Australia, because nobody really had any sort of hunches about how obedient anybody was in Australia. Yes? Right. Might this be a problematic research design because in Germany they're like less obedient as a result of the whole World War II Third Reich thing? Yes, I think that's a totally valid possibility. Also, they might be like, I see what you're up to. You're trying to see how electrocute somebody's perfectly innocent, and you're an American experimenter. I totally get what you're up to. That could have been a problem too. Yeah. So the question is the meta-analysis of the rates of obedience across time tainted by the fact that people learn about the Milgram experiment a lot in college? So I have many answers to that. My main thought is no, not that bad of a concern. Because one, by 1985, this was not actually that well known. In 1985, it was nothing like now. I would say the actual popular awareness of the Milgram experiment really took off about 10 years ago. Yes? The lack of a bias about? Wait, what do you mean? Why would that count the correlation? Or the lack of a correlation? Oh, I see. Right, but if you went 1985 to 2009, then you find a drop-off in rates of obedience because people are now aware of it. Yeah, I guess that's possible, but I don't think that would mean there's an actual drop-off of rates of obedience in society or in situations where you're getting directives from authority. It would just mean in the Milgram experiment, people are wise to the experiment. So, and we're hoping that this is indicative of larger social trends. We're not interested in obedience to authority in just the Milgram setting. We're interested in it in settings in general. So the fact that people are wise to it in the Milgram experiment isn't so much a concern. Concern is, overall, as our culture changed and how obedience to authority they would be in different settings. Your question. Right. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Right, that's an excellent answer. Yes, we just watched a replication of the Milgram experiment from 2 years ago from a region very close to here, and they found essentially the same rates of obedience. Yeah. Now, maybe those people weren't all college educators, but the point is, they're from 2009, whether they were close or not, they kept doing it about the same rate. So there's good reason, lots of reason to think that this phenomenon hasn't gone away. Thank you for pointing that out. I showed you this film, but I totally forgot that I showed you the film. Okay. Okay. So Milgram was going to go to Germany, the United States, and Australia and compare rates of obedience in these three different settings and try and figure out, is there something inherent in German national character, something we don't say anymore? We now say culture, because we think it sounds less nasty. So is there something inherent in German national culture, or whatever, that provided for the Third Reich? But instead, Milgram found so much obedience in the United States that it seemed unnecessary. Remember that in the very first version of the experiment that he ran with just a shadow in the window, he found nearly 100% rates of obedience. When he cranked it up a little bit in terms of like people shouting and screaming, stop electrocuting me, he still found like 65% rates of obedience. So it simply didn't make sense to go to Germany and try and find higher rates of obedience. It probably wasn't in the cards. It would be pretty hard to find much higher rates of obedience to authority. And this, in a way, is a great example of a theme that you'll find that's common in this class of social psychologists stumbling onto great experiment or great insights through experiments. We often say that experiments are not a good tool for exploratory research or for discovery. Because if you can design an experiment, you have to have some hunch about what's going to happen, right? If you're going to set up a medical experiment, you have to have this hunch that this medicine will perform better than the placebo. In the Ash experiment, why would you pay 8 Confederates to say the wrong answer unless you had a hunch that would influence the 9th person? So experiments are generally not thought of as a good discovery mechanism. They're very good for testing claims you're not sure are true or not, but they're not so good for discovering new claims, right? But every once in a while, they're really good for that too. And there's a few classic examples from the class. Jones and Harris, 1967, Castro essay study. In that one, that was supposed to be a control condition, the one where the experimenter assigns you to write the pro or the anti-Castro essay, and they were interested in whether people would say, oh no, that person doesn't endorse that belief, and then in conditions where you're told that people voluntarily wrote the pro and anti-Castro essays, then you say, oh, okay, then they must really, believe this belief. It was going to be a really boring friggin' study. I have no idea why they ran it. They were basically running like, if you're told the experiment told you to do something, do you not assume that person believes it? Well, of course, but instead, they stumbled onto a great finding that helped make Ned Jones' career, which was that people would make the same assumptions even if the essay assignment was assigned to you. And in the Milgram studies, he was trying to say something about German national character being crazy and whack and really, really obedient to authority, and instead he found that was the case essentially everywhere. And in some studies that are coming up later in class on social identity theory, the minimal group studies, they found a similar thing where they just stumbled into a great classic finding. By the way, William Shatner played Stanley Milgram in the TV movie The 10th Level, which is a pretty amusing portrayal, very hard to find, or at least it used to be very hard to find. All right. Oh yeah, in the experimental Milgram film, not Milgram. Stanley Milgram looks like this. He has a beard, and he looks really sheepish all the time. He's not that guy. He does. Milgram was a very self-conscious guy. He was sort of embarrassed to be alive. And he was. He was a very eccentric guy and a very, very interesting guy. That guy, Thomas Blass, who did the meta-analysis of results of obedience experiments, he also wrote a biography of Milgram, which I highly recommend. It's very interesting. Does anybody know the title of that biography? The Man Who Shocked the World. Very, very clever. So anyway, the guy in the film is not Milgram. He's an actor playing an experimenter. Okay, so now we're going to take a 2 or 3 minute break, and then we'll resume with the obedience to authority lecture. Okay, a lot of people have been asking, how can you, before we talk about this really quick, a lot of people have been asking, how can you get the assignment back, or the assignments back, the 1,500 assignments we tried to hand back after class that one time. That was a lot of fun for everybody, all of you and us as well. And then we tried again, and that was also a good time. And then there's still assignments, and not all of you have gotten them, and many of you have very good reasons. And so you can get them today between 1 and 2:30 from Nora, or no, Nora, you won't be there. You'll be there, okay, in 420 Barrows. So 420 Barrows Hall on the University of California, Berkeley campus. 1 to 2:30, they'll be there for you to come get them, and Nora will be there, and she'll help you get them. Okay, is that clear? Cool. Okay, so the Cool Hand Luke essay assignments. I told you they were D1. I gave you some vague sense of what to look for in the film. Now we're going to actually get to the concrete assignment. Cool Hand Luke assignment. You have 1 week to complete it. 168 hours. It's due next Thursday, March the 5th. Not next Wednesday, February something, whatever's on the online thing. So if you downloaded the PowerPoint slides before I fix this, please fix it for me. Okay, so it's due Thursday, March 5th. And what you're expected to do is write an essay about the role of any of the following factors in the film Cool Hand Luke. Any, 1, 2, 3, or all 4 factors in the film Cool Hand Luke. And they are conformity, non-conformity, obedience, disobedience. You may be saying, how can I even talk about obedience without talking about disobedience? Great, I agree with you. That's terrific. You may be saying conformity is just the opposite of non-conformity. I'm with you there too. So really, this is just 2 concepts. Write about 1 or both of them in your essay. Now, what do we want? What do we want you to do? We want you to make some claim. Make some claim about the role of conformity and or obedience in the film Cool Hand Luke, and then support it with evidence from the film. And you can use class materials, lecture slides, Cialdini book, the Milgram reading, for information on conformity and obedience. That way you'll be sure that you're right about what you're saying about conformity and obedience. For example, it would be a terrible mistake to say that obedience to authority is the actor-observer bias, and then write about groupthink for like 3 pages. That would be a big mistake. So review the relevant class materials, cite them if you like, and make accurate claims about what conformity and obedience are, or you can write about just 1 if you want. Make some claim and support it. So let's be very clear about the format. The format is, the length should be 4 to 5 pages. That's a highly restrictive page length you're saying. Yes, it is. That's on purpose. The papers will be graded, like A, B, C, D, that kind of grading system. And they'll count for more than the prior essays. The Cool Hand Luke and the Grand Illusion essays count for more than the smaller essays, like the breaching essay, or the perspective taking essay that you did on a recent conflict, or the subsequent essays we'll write later in the semester. So the papers will be graded, and they'll count for a little more. They're still not going to count for as much as these exams. They're going to count for maybe roughly 40% what the exams, are worth. Maybe around 10% of your grade, a little less than 10%. Okay, so that's how much the paper's worth and how it's graded. How do we want you to write it, this 4 to 5 page paper? We want you to write it in 5-paragraph essay style, though not necessarily exactly 5 paragraphs, but in that style of structure and organization. How many people here know what the hell I'm talking about? 5-paragraph essay style. Okay, that's very good. Those of you that don't, go online and get information on what exactly this 5-paragraph essay style is, or even if you do know what I'm talking about, maybe brush up on it. Now, what does that mean? What is the 5-paragraph essay style? The 5-paragraph essay style is basically, you have an intro paragraph that sort of introduces your argument. At some point in that paragraph, often in maybe the 3rd or 4th sentence, you'll have a clean, bold, clear statement of your thesis. And that's the claim you're making in the essay. And then you'll often have a sentence at the end of that sentence where you say, I'll support this with the following types of evidence. And that's what previews the paragraphs that come. You'll then have 3 or more paragraphs that offer supporting evidence for that thesis statement. And so, the first paragraph might say, I'm going to support that statement in this way. And the second of the supporting paragraph says, I'll support it in this way. And the 3rd one says, also this body of evidence from the film supports my statement. And then finally, you'll conclude with the 5th paragraph, or maybe it's the 6th or 7th, fine. But the final paragraph will be a concluding paragraph, where you say, okay, I gave all this evidence, it supported my statement because I'm so right, and I say the statement again to be redundant, and then you try really hard to write some kind of catchy last sentence. Isn't that how it works? Yeah. That's how it always worked for me. And then you try to make it like, somehow make your 5-paragraph essay speak to like a meaning of life in 1 sentence, Okay. All right, other questions about that? Oh, okay, so I think don't do bogus margins or spacing. This is a very clever trick that many of you have learned. We know it, we're on to you. When you grade a stack of 80 of these, you can just look at the margins and be like, oh, these are the people tricking me. If you change the fonts, we're wise to that too. Our readers are extraordinarily experienced. They were all former undergraduates. They've all pulled these tricks before. So they're on to you. Yes? Yeah, exactly. We went 12-point font, double space, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Thank you for clarifying. Times New Roman. That's our preference. Arial, Catholic. We don't like it as much. We really don't. Okay, Tahoma. I mean, what is that, right? Tahoma. Okay, evaluation criteria. We would like to have proper structure. Please follow this structure. Let this be an exercise in obedience to authority.